welcome. I am Megan and welcome to Battle Royale with Cheese, the website you can get all of your TV and film news, reviews and trailers. And last night I went to go see the new live action remake of Lilo and Stitch. This is one that I've kind of been looking forward to for a while. Out of all of the ones that have previously been released, this is one of my favourite films. And at the same time, I know I have to, hold my expectations and keep an open mind. Lilo and Stitch is the remake of the 2002 Disney film, following Lilo and Nani, who are sisters living in Hawaii. They one day adopt what they think is a dog. Lilo names it Stitch. Turns out it's not a dog, it's actually an alien experiment. So firstly, I will say this is going to be a non-spoiler review. However, there is something I want to talk about at the very end that is spoilers. It's to do with the whole third act. But that will be at the very end of the video. And yeah, for the moment this is going to be non-spoiler reviews. I won't do any other spoiler videos after this, because I know this doesn't come out for a couple of days in other countries. UK for some reason got it early. But overall, I really enjoyed this. But it does have some problems. But I overall really enjoyed it. I didn't actually think it was a bad remake. It does have issues which I'll go into. But yeah, I had a fun time overall. Chris Sanders, who directed the original film, who co-directed the original film, interestingly with Dean DeBoos, who is remaking How to Train Your Dragon. He also directed that one. So that's interesting. He couldn't rejoin for the remake of this. But Chris Sanders voiced Stitch in the original film. He returns for the remake. He does a fantastic job once again. And Maya Kealoha plays Lilo. And I thought they were both fantastic. Their friendship is honestly the best part of this film. They were fantastic. Maya is adorable as Lilo and really had a very similar personality to the original Lilo, which was something I was a bit worried about whether the remake was going to lose. But she's fantastic. She's great. Like I said, her friendship with Stitch is great. It is the highlight of the film. And it seems to be much more of a focal point of this remake compared to the original. And I will be comparing this to the original. I feel like I kind of have to with some things. It was very difficult not to have my nostalgia glasses on for this one, to be honest. But comparing this to the original one felt more like it was focusing on the idea of family, on the relationship and sisterhood between Nani and Lilo, whereas this one is more focused on Stitch and Lilo's friendship. That's what it felt like to me anyway. They do expand more upon Nani's situation, her trying to find a job and just trying to survive now with suddenly being Lilo's carer as well as sister. Sydney Elizabeth Agudong as Nani. She's good in this. I think this is where my problems kind of started, and I'll go more into that in a minute. The film definitely does give her more screen time to focus on her situation. She's got social workers on her back. She's trying to find another job. She's trying to get bills paid. She's trying to keep the house sort of tidy, and it's really messy. Everything is on her shoulders, and it does spend more time with her as well. Yeah, I'll talk about my problem with her character actually in this in a minute. I want to do all the positive stuff first, and then we'll go into what I didn't like about this film. But I think she did an okay enough job in this. I did sort of sympathise for her. It seems like she has a lot in her shoulders, just like in the original film. And yeah, I thought she did a good job. There's not really much else I can say, unfortunately. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think she did, acting-wise, a good enough job as Nani, and you did sympathise with her. So this film did get a couple of controversies. One of them I'll talk about at the end of the video. But one of them was the fact that originally they weren't going to put Agent Cobra Bubbles, into this film. They have actually put him in the film. And there is also another social worker who is not Cobra Bubbles, who works with Nani and Lilo. This was a bit of a weird addition, and I always say, if you're going to remake something, don't do a shot-for-shot remake. At least expand upon stuff or add something to the film, so you're not just remaking the same original exact film. So I can appreciate that they added something different with this. However, I didn't really like this change too much. With the social worker, I think it was supposed to add more to Nani's situation of like, well, she's got that on her back, like breathing down her neck. You know, there's a risk that Lilo could be taken to foster care. But I feel like there's a specific hospital scene later on in the film that I won't go into too much. But I feel like that scene, could have still happened and gone the same way without the social worker being there and being involved in that scenario. I just feel like she wasn't overall needed. I feel like they could have kept the aspect of Cobra Bubbles working undercover as a social worker, compared to the original film. The other weird thing as well, and this is in the trailer so I can talk about this, he's immediately identified as a CIA agent. Sorry, I can't talk. CIA agent. It's not a twist or anything, which also kind of takes away from his role, because that reveal at the very end in the 2002 film of him being an agent, that's why he was constantly at Nani and Lilo's house and around that area. Once you take that away and immediately you're like, yeah, this is a CIA agent working undercover, you're like, oh, okay, so there's no surprise there. So that was a little bit weird and a little bit wonky. Jumper and Pleakley as well was another thing. Pleakley, it didn't feel like he had much to do in this. Aside from, trying on different... He did try on different outfits. I know this was another controversy, that he wasn't going to be in drag and anything for his disguises. He does still try out different, human clothes. He gets quite excited to be on Earth and to try out different Earth things. But it kind of felt like he didn't really have much to do in this film. Jumper, I'll talk about later, because I liked where they took his character. Okay, the other one I want to talk about is David and the neighbour, who is his mum. I liked them. I liked the addition of them. And I think the actor who played David was really good. The addition of his mum, I think, was quite sweet for the most part. However, she also acts as a babysitter for Lilo. And this is where my problems kind of start. I don't like the sisterhood relationship of Lilo and Nani in this. Yes, Nani, you sympathise with her because she has a lot on her mind and a lot on her shoulders. But in terms of her as a sister and her being, friends with her younger sister, it didn't... That's where the charm was kind of lost for me. It didn't really work. It more came across as, oh, Nani is just a workaholic who is just ignoring her sister or forgets she's there. And to be fair, the film does come self-aware of this at a point, but I still felt it kind of fell through. It kind of fell flat for me. It didn't really work, and yeah, that was the part where I was like, okay, it does feel like you're more focusing on Stitch and Lilo more than anything else. One more thing I want to mention before I continue my negativity thing. There are references, not just to the original film, but there are references to even the cartoon TV show from the early 2000s, which I really, really liked. Okay, so let's go into what I didn't really like about the film. The pacing is all over the place. The pacing is all over the place. And from the first opening scene where you're in that spaceship with the Galactic Council, the Council General, by the way, was fantastic. Her voice actor was incredible. And again, in the original film, they do make her a sympathetic character in the end. It's not the same voice actor from the original, so she does a really great job at doing that similar kind of voice to the original character. Okay, now I'm really going to get back into my negativity, so I'm all over the place, because I'm following my notes, and they're all over the place as well, so I do apologise. But yeah, the opening scene happens that takes place in the Galactic Council, and it's that trial with Jumper and Stitch, and then Stitch makes his escape to Earth. The film kind of, and this is a problem I have with a lot of Disney live-action remakes, is that it assumes that you know the original film. So this whole section this whole like opening scene is very fast paced. Even the dialogue delivery is really fast paced. It is literally like, oh, we're going to go to Earth. Oh, he's there. Oh, you can help him. Okay, we'll help him. Okay, I'm going to go here, and blah, blah, blah. And it's that kind of speed. It's ridiculous. It really does kind of feel like the film's going, yeah, you know how this goes. You know how the scene goes. Like, we just need to do, like, the bare minimum, and you'll get it. And there are some scenes like that are like that later on. The film, like, vastly improves once Lilo meets Stitch. But even then, like, yeah, like I said, there are scenes that are sort of just glossed over. It doesn't really give the film time to, like, let those scenes and dialogue, like, stick with you. Or, like, sink in. It's kind of just like, oh, okay, now we've done that bit, and now we're going to do this bit. So, yeah, it doesn't happen consistently throughout the film, but it's just a few moments in, like, the second and third acts. Especially the second act, actually, as well, and the opening scene. Those are, like, the worst contenders. Those are the worst offenders for this. And yeah, the pacing is a bit all over the place as well. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is the third act. So, what I'm going to do is, because I know this will be spoiler territory, I know the UK has got this film early, so what I'm going to do is, once the text spoilers appears at the bottom of the screen, that is the time where I'm going to be talking about the third act, and once that disappears, I've stopped talking spoilers. This is the last warning for me talking about spoilers. I'm about to talk about a spoiler, I'm about to talk about the entire third act, so once the spoiler text comes up on the bottom of the screen, that's when I talk about them. Once it disappears, I've stopped talking about spoilers. So the text should be there now. Let's talk about what the third act is. So, this was rumours at first, and then it was an actual report. Captain Gantu does not appear in this film at all. Like, there's not even a mention of his name. Now, this is going to be the part that's going to be divisive amongst fans. I know there was a huge backlash against this in the past week, and I was also included in that. I really like that character. I think he's a really interesting character. He is the reason why the third act even happens in the first place, because he goes down to Earth as well and captures Stitch, and then also captures Lilo, and it becomes a rescue mission to save them. So what happens in here, because he doesn't appear at all, is they make Jumba the villain, which I actually really liked. I really, really liked this turn of events and what they did instead. Because at the beginning of the film and at the beginning of the original film, he's always calling himself an evil genius. You know, a madman, a mad scientist that, you know, oh, I'm going to take over the galaxy, and, you know, this creature destroys everything it touches. And then once it gets to the third act of the original, or not even that, like the end of the second act, he starts to soften. And with this, it always felt like he was the villain, he wasn't going to change. And I liked that. It kept his character consistent, it kept that personality and that mindset that he has consistent. And so what happens instead is he ends up getting Stitch, puts him on the spaceship, the famous red spaceship, which I like. It looked exactly like it was from the original film. And Lilo, they've had throughout this film like a portal gun. It's literally what it is, it's a portal gun. They've had this throughout the film, and Lilo uses it to get onto Jumba's spaceship to rescue Stitch. Yeah, I think it's going to be really divisive amongst fans. I think this is going to be really divisive, which is fair. It's going to be very different, but like I said, with me, and again, this is just my opinion, I have always said that if you're going to remake something, add something new to it, or expand upon something, or do something different. And I feel like, yeah, this feels very consistent with his character, and with Jumba's character, and his character arc. This felt very consistent, and actually when it happened, I was like, yeah, okay, I can deal with that, that makes sense. And like I said earlier, there is still the thing with the Council General. They do it in a different way, where they still have Stitch exiled on Earth. They do it a different way round, though. It's more like, okay, well, he's changed enough, he's already got a family, and she realises, well, you're already going to be exiled anyway, Like, is there anyone that can stay on Earth to supervise him? Is there someone who can, you know, check up on him occasionally? And Cobra Bubbles and Pleakley agreed to be on Earth. And this is kind of, again, Pleakley stays on Earth anyway in the original film. So it kind of works. The way round that they do that and they have Stitch exiled on Earth it's a different way round, but I was still okay with it. I was still, you know, it still kind of worked for me. So that was my review on the Lilo and Stitch live action remake. I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be very divisive amongst fans though, and it does have problems. I do acknowledge that, but overall I actually enjoyed this. I don't think it's a bad remake at all. There's a lot worse. There's a lot worse that Disney have done, but I do get that not everyone's going to like this. But I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese. See you soon.